Imagine you slice into a wedding cake only to find it dancing back at you. Does that make you morally question what you're doing? Well, it doesn't make me morally question it. I'm excited to just get into that dancing teddy bear. And that's exactly what these folks over at EPFL are cooking up. They're making chocolate and candy that can dance with batteries that are composed of completely edible items. So if that's got your sweet tooth craving going on a craze, then I guess gear up and let's bite into this. Folks, like you heard, this is going to be a sweet, sweet episode of The Next Bite. And I'm going to be honest, it's a totally selfish one. We love technology, we love cooking, and this one just brought it all together. Is it going to change the world? Maybe not, but we like it. And if we like it, you probably like it. Yeah. So I guess let's just get into it. But before we do, let's talk about today's sponsor, and that's going to be Mouser Electronics. Folks, if you've been rocking with us for a minute, you know we love working with Mouser. And the reason for that is that they have the same mentality as us. There's a lot of cool things happening in industry and academia, and a lot of folks just don't know about it. You know, these STEM topics, they can be overly complicated at times, but, you know, we're trying to do the same thing as Mouser, and that is expressing it in ways that make sense for everyone. Mouser has these technical resources, and we're going to be linking one in the show notes that's super relevant to today. This one is called The Rise of Soft Robotics. They're talking about, you know, the background on what soft robotics are, how they've been revolutionizing the world of, like, you know, machinery and automation by allowing these flexible part pickers and things like that to safely handle sensitive materials and interact with human beings. And really how even on the manufacturing side, 3D printing is adapting so that it can accommodate more of these soft materials for robotic applications. They go then into agriculture and healthcare and where these things are being deployed. So if this realm is of interest to you, soft robotics materials, highly recommend that you check it out, because I actually found it to be a very solid primer for this article.
Well, and we're getting creative here for the connection
totally
between these, but I think you'll I think we'll get it, right? It vibes. It jives really well in an unexpected way. So check out that link in the show notes and then come on back to us now so we can talk to you about a robotic wedding cake.
I guess let's get into it. That's the best segue, the robotic wedding cake. All right. So we're at EPFL. Haven't been there in a minute. And this team created what they called the RoboCake. It's an edible robotic wedding cake that they showed off in a expo in Osaka in 2025. The robotic part is a bunch of these teddy bears, like the gummy bears that you find in your Haribo's bag or whatever, just a little bit bigger, sitting on top of the cake, and they are dancing. What's crazy about that, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen plastic dancing robots for toys or whatever. These things are made of gelatin and syrup, and they're animated by like this internal pneumatic system, which is, you know, pressure based, and they're totally edible. Like you can just grab the dancing gummy bear and eat it. And before we got on the call to do this interview, Daniel actually brought up a great memory from our childhood, one of our favorite movies that this reminded him of. So you want to share that?
Yeah. So I don't remember how far back my obsession goes, but definitely from reading the books, and then I think it was galvanized when I watched the movies. Harry Potter, he's like on the train headed to Hogwarts for the first time, and the snack cart goes by, and they get a chocolate frog, and he opens it, and he's like, oh, like cool, like it's a chocolate frog. And then it starts like jumping around, and it's completely animated, and it's chocolate. It's fully edible. It's just chocolate, but it's also animated, and it's like this frog that's jumping around. He's like, oh my God, is this a real frog? This is the closest thing I've ever seen to that. But my entire life, I've always thought, like, well, one, I love chocolate, but I've always thought it would be so cool to actually get a real chocolate frog. This is the closest thing from a technological realm I've ever seen to that. These these dancing gummy bears. You'll have to check out the link in the show notes to this article and just look at least at a photo of the wedding cake, if not the video that's attached. But like, you need to see the extent to which this is really impressive. Like it looks like a Disneyland ride. Like It's a Small World with like animated characters. But
yeah,
it's dancing gummy bears on top of a wedding cake. The batteries that power it and power the lights are also completely edible. Like, it's like the dream from my childhood that like, oh, you can have these characters that dance around, but also they're fully edible, like the way that Harry Potter eats the chocolate frog. It's like, it's the perfect connection.
Dude, I totally agree. And I'm happy you brought up chocolate, because that's like another critical component of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for these robots to operate, there's got to be energy or something coming from somewhere. And one of the secret sauces here is these edible batteries that are composed of chocolate, vitamin B2, and activated carbon, to name a few. And it's powerful enough that it can make the teddy bear's pneumatic system dance, but also like power LEDs on a cake.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty impressive all around. But I guess what most folks are probably thinking at this point, it's like, why?
Yeah.
What was going through the mind of the researchers at EPFL to focus on something like this? And
usually when I eat batteries, it's not.
Okay.
Sorry.
I learn more about you every time we do an episode, and I guess I learned today that you love eating batteries in your spare time. Wonderful. So moving away from that, the concept of edible electronics has the potential to limit a lot of electronic waste, and that can amount to 40 million tons annually, I think is what the report said. Obviously, not all of our waste can be turned into something edible, but it just gives you an idea. Even if it's 1%, that's still quite significant. Innovation in food, the world of fancy gastronomy is always mind-blowing. I remember, I think it's Alinea, that's one of the leading restaurants in the world. It's one of the best in America, that made a floating hydrogen balloon out of apple caramel that you could just like basically bite into, suck in the hydrogen, have a funny voice, and then you eat the apple caramel. And that's just so fun, right? And this feels like another natural evolution in that, is that if you think of food as art, as more than just sustenance, this gets you to that point of being a child and wanting to eat a chocolate frog or a dancing gummy bear.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, I was on a business trip this week, and
fancy.
I went out to dinner with one of our business partners. And they took us, like, they were wining and dining us. And they took us up to like the 57th floor roof bar at the top of this hotel in Monterrey, Mexico. And I'm like looking at the mountains and there's a beautiful view. But what I'm going for here is the food was super fancy. Like, people were they were getting drinks with gold foil on top. And I took a photo of the creme brulee, which I need to send to you for about. But like, I took a photo of the creme brulee, and it's like this it's not just food, it's a piece of art. And it's like this fancy restaurant, and obviously the bill was super steep. And it's not like this type of place you eat all the time for fun, but when you want to appreciate that food is art, and food and eating is an experience, an experiential art. This is the exact type of restaurant that, at a minimum, I think that's the minimum impact this will have, is restaurants like that with really, really forward-looking chefs that are using culinary arts and like truly understanding it as an art to combine technology and gastronomy to make an awesome eating experience. Like, this would be awesome to, I don't know, for a kid's birthday at one of these fancy restaurants, to bring out a dancing gummy bear and then the kid gets to eat it. Like, that's super cool. And I'm the
kid. I would want it.
Yeah, I'm the kid. If you haven't noticed, I'm the kid in this story. Like, there's it sounds trivial, or it sounds, I don't know, like,
it sounds unserious, but you take a step back and you realize that these little things actually mean a lot in life. It adds the color,
Exactly. And like, you can make food interactive, fun, adds a whole new layer to the way that like all these restaurants will be trying to like one up each other with like we have the
Yeah.
fanciest dessert ever. But I think that they also have noble intentions in trying to reduce electronic waste. So when you're using electronics that can't be disposed of easily, is there an alternative that's at minimum food safe and compostable? Even if you don't eat it, is it food safe
Right.
and compostable? Can you use that instead? Can you use this as a way to deliver food to people in a way that doesn't create a lot of waste, to deliver medicine into the body? There's a lot of different applications they talked here around like using an edible battery as something that powers a sensor to monitor food freshness, things to help animals, things to deliver emergency nutrition to people in starving areas of countries. Like these are all, I would say, like, again, the worst case is fancy restaurants get a cool new thing that we want to try out one day. The best case is there's actually a whole layer of innovation that this unlocks in terms of the way that we interact with, deliver food, nutrition, medicine. Like I appreciate people doing innovation in this space because there's probably a bunch of knock-on effects that we can't even identify today that at some point in the future we'll point back at this and say, hey, it started with RoboCake.
I completely agree with you. And the way I see it, it's kind of like a Trojan horse. Like you're saying, the Trojan horse being the fun, dancing gummy bears that you can eat. And then the soldiers hiding on the inside are a revolution when it comes to, plastic, one-time use plastics and the things that we discard and the ways that we create being solved. Worst case scenario, even if the soldiers don't work out and they get defeated, you still got a fun wooden horse. In that case, it's the dancing teddy bears. Yeah. So it's a win-win all around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. It's definitely a fun change of pace in terms of what we see coming out of academia. I think it's a testament to how creative some of these researchers can be if given the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I love this kind of, cross-discipline collaboration.
Well, that's what really gets us excited, right? Is roboticists collaborating with chemists, collaborating with pastry chefs. Like that's it sounds like I don't know,
it's a match made in heaven.
But I don't know. It shows off this idea of edible robots, edible features. Definitely showing off the future of robotic food.
100%. I'm gonna quickly wrap all of this up.
Yes, sir.
Basically, have you ever looked at your cake and thought this could be more interesting? Well, it turns out so did these folks over at EPFL, and so much so, in fact, that they decided to reinvent the wedding cake into what they call the RoboCake, into something that has dancing gummy bears on top of it that are completely edible, being powered by edible battery. That's right. The whole thing is edible. So if you're like Daniel and you've been wanting to live this life of eating the chocolate frog from Harry Potter, or any moving, dancing, actuating piece of chocolate or food, these folks might have the answer for you. But all jokes aside, the reality is that they're kind of focused on how can we change our perception of single-use plastics or things that we discard with some of these naturally made materials, edible or not, and be a little bit more conscious about how we use our resources and help each other have a better planet. That's it.
Love it. And there's a bad joke in here that
Send it.
Make.
Send it.
Right? Like sometimes you want robots, sometimes you want cake. This gives us the opportunity to have your robotic cake and eat it too.
I like it. Very dad joke. 6 out of 10. Very solid.
There we go. The cringe factor is 10 out of 10.
It still lands. It hits the landing quite well.
With you and I. Maybe not with everyone else.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
And on that note, that's the pod.
See you, everyone.
Folks,